Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that tour and I hope you're getting a lot of inspiration for your project. Today I'm coming to you from a very special location. Wait a second. Today we're about 45 minutes south of Asheville and this is our latest project. This is what we call a normal house. But I know you didn't tune in to watch normal stuff. Ew. Did you just get down in a dumpster to hide from the wind? Yes. Yes, I did. Look, it's just wood in here. I mean, I think. Anyway, this video is going to be very helpful for you if you're thinking about building a dome yourself, because I'm sure you have a million questions. And I'm trying to get to a lot of these with Andy. I think you'll find it very helpful. But I did want to let you know that the audio is not so great. We did it over Zoom, and there are places where it's not synced up. I tried to fix it, but the editing is not awesome. Sorry for that, but I really do think you'll find the content helpful enough to sit through it. At least I hope so. If you have a question that we don't cover, please leave it down in the comments. I'll try to get back to you, and I hope you enjoy the content. Goodbye from the dumpster. Maybe you could tell us just about being a new host. Like, what's your favorite thing, or I will get to the least favorite thing in a moment, but what do you like most about being a new Airbnb host?
So that's a good question. There's a lot of things I like, to be honest, more than I thought I would. So when I looked at it on paper, it just seemed like a lot of time and work to be a host, right? So I'm a people person, and I love working with people. And one of the kind of outcomes of the current pandemic is that I've been working from home for almost 2 years. So I lost a lot of that people interaction that I used to have in my job, because I still do the same job. Now I just, I sit here in my spare bedroom and do my job every day. So it's actually pretty cool to get to interact with all these people as a host, right? You get people coming from all walks of life. Sometimes they're celebrating, sometimes they're just getting away, sometimes they're going to propose to their significant other, and it's super cool that I get to be a part of that. Like, that's so special to me to actually get to, in an indirect way, be a part of those moments in people's lives. So that's been a great joy to me, to be honest. And it absolutely is a lot of time, it absolutely is a lot of work, but it's something that I didn't mind as much as I thought I would, because it actually kind of brings me some joy, and I love creating value for other people as well. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well, can you share with us your occupancy percentage over a given month since you've gotten started?
Yeah, so I am pretty proud to say that we opened up in mid-August of 2021, and September 12th of 2021 was my last unoccupied night. So as I sit here in the end of January 2022, I have had 100% occupancy. My next open night is roughly 6 weeks from now. So I'm pretty confident that we will fill that before we get to that. But, I'm able to leverage a few skills I have from my marketing side, but I think this dome sells itself. That's one of the great things about being a host on Airbnb is Airbnb does a lot of marketing. People are constantly seeing Airbnb commercials. There's just a huge user base on the Airbnb, whether it's the app or the website or anything else. So, for the small amount of money Airbnb charges us hosts, I think it's worth every penny. I think they're a huge reason that I've had such good occupancy.
So how about on the flip side? Is there anything that you don't care for, or maybe your least favorite thing about either being a host or maybe the building process, something that other people listening who are thinking about maybe going on this road, something you might share with them?
For sure. I mean, there's two sides to the sword, no doubt. I guess even before I dive into that, I could talk about the positives all day long. I think they far outweigh the negatives. Obviously, we're sitting here having this conversation, we're smiling, so something must have worked out. But I think, so I told you about, I do something that me and my family enjoy for a lot of reasons, and we love that. So I should have said my favorite thing about owning the dome is that I own the dome. I get to go to the dome. I get to take my wife, my son, my dog. Like, we love going to the dome. And so the fact that we can also share that joy with others is pretty cool. That because we have our favorite things. We love the sunset at the dome, and we love kind of having a cold beer in the hot tub and maybe swinging in the hammock, and to see others say similar things and take joy in the stuff that we do. Again, that I'll just be maybe at work. I get a note or a review from a guest like, hey, we had a great time. The sunset was gorgeous. And immediately I can have a bad day and it goes to a good day like that. So I'm like, that's so cool that one of my favorite things someone else got to experience. Like I'll tell my wife when we're eating dinner later that night, be like, hey, so-and-so was at the sunset and it was really good. Like, that's awesome. How cool is that? So that's probably my favorite thing. But on the flip side, I would say the challenges, or maybe the things that weren't my favorite, those were mostly encountered prior to opening the dome. So definitely during the build process, which you did a great job holding my hand and getting us where we are today. But when you and I sat down in the beginning and started our relationship, we kind of said, okay, here's a rough estimate of what we think this is going to cost and how long it's going to take. Because you've built a couple domes, I've done absolutely nothing. So I'm like, okay, whatever Alex says, that's fine. And as you know, we hit some, I don't know if you want to call them speed bumps, or like those kind of cement poles at the gas station where you hit them, and it was tough. So we learned a lot because the dome had never been built in our area like we were building it. So the local agency, the code enforcement, they had no idea what we were doing. They asked a lot of questions and enforced a lot of things that maybe other areas wouldn't, and stuff like that. I think we did our best to try and stay positive and even spin it in a positive way. So, one of the first things when the code enforcement was giving us all the headache, I said, hey, let's look long term. Like, I'm going to try and bring a lot of rental revenue into your county, which, you're going to tax that. You're going to make money on that. Tourists are going to come in and spend money in your place. Like, this should be a good thing for all of us. And it was, didn't quite translate, I guess, to what he wanted to hear. So, I would say we probably spent maybe an additional 6 months and quite a lot of money on top of that than we had planned. We still got to the finish line. So again, that's why we're sitting here having a conversation, smiling about it. But along the road, there were some challenging times. And I think the important thing was you and I were stubborn enough to not give up, but there were plenty of times where we had a situation in front of us and it took a while to come up. And so that's one thing that I think I've been successful with in my corporate life, is when I get a challenge pretty decent at okay, what can we do to solve this? What pieces can we bring together? What resources can we use? And there was plenty of times where I was stumped, when the county said, you have to do this. And I'm talking to you on the phone and I'm like, oh gosh, I have no idea how we're going to do that. So that was frustrating for me, for sure.
Well, it was definitely a learning experience for both of us. And what I found through the process is even the county right next door maybe has a different view of these kind of structures and are a little more agreeable to work with. But of course, we did hit those speed bumps, and there was a time when they just told us no. So we actually, you and I went and sat down. We weren't going to take no for an answer, right? We called the planner. We said, can we sit down with you? We know there's a solution. Let's figure out the way. So you actually drove up. Andy lives 2 hours away, so he owns the property and he had me build the property, and now we're partners together in managing it. We went and sat down with the city planner and we said, what's the solution here? And the solution ended up being to hire an engineer. And don't have time to get it all into those details at the moment, but if that's something that interests you guys, check out the link in the video below. You can set up a one-on-one with me to help understand how to go through that process. But yeah, we're all smiling now, still smiling.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be smiling for the future. But yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing all that. I think that's really good information, because there's a lot of people that are, thinking about going down this road. And whenever you take on the challenge of a non-traditional structure, you're going to face those hurdles with the building department, with the zoning, with environmental health, with all of the agencies that are involved in this whole process. So definitely need somebody who has either been there before or can coach you through the process. Is it like you thought it would be, or is there anything that surprised you?
So it's not like I thought it would be, but I guess I'm not really sure what I thought it would be, to be frank. Like I said, I just an extra workload, and I wasn't very excited about that. But there's, so first off, the Airbnb system itself has actually come along a decent way since I started being a host. So there's certain things I can automate now, so that takes time off of me. I listen to a lot of podcasts and try to be the best host I can be, and along that way, you kind of find synergies and efficiencies and ways to make sure you're spending your time intentionally in certain areas and maybe not others. So I like to think the time I do spend is spent, maximizing the experience for my guests. Yeah, definitely interesting. I probably every week or two I get a question that I never thought I would get, right? Just because somebody either did something that we had no idea a guest would do, or break something, or gets lost. I mean, the list goes on. It's quite funny. And then, sometimes I love feedback. In my marketing role, that's how I do better. And so I always strive to get that from the guests, and it seems to come in very different ways. So there's the constructive feedback, which I love, because I always say, how can we do better? If there was one thing that could make you stay better, what would it be? But then there's maybe the feedback that doesn't come across in the most polite way. And so you have to stomach that, and maybe somebody wasn't happy about something, and you just got to make sure that you can try and make it right, or maybe you just need to also tell yourself, hey, don't think about that much. It's in the past, and you just need to let it lie in the past. You can't really change that. So it's I know I've got a ton to learn, but I think, gosh, it's almost probably been half a year or so since we opened the dome. So it's been a lot to learn the last half a year, and I've enjoyed every bit of it.
So I guess maybe just one or two more. If there's anything you had to do over again, is there something that you would do differently?
It's a great question. So I think, yes. So again, I love what we came up with, and one of the favorite things about my property is like the mountain view we have, and I love that. But maybe going back, so my order of operations was I bought a property, then I contacted you, and then we started off together. So I probably would have flipped the first two. If I would go back, I would probably contact you first so that we could go to whatever county we're thinking of. Because I think if you and I had done that and gone to the county where we ended up building, we would have quickly decided, hey, we should look for land somewhere else. This will just be an easier, cheaper process in a different county. So that would have allowed us to open up a lot earlier and maybe have a little bit, less of an investment to get across the goal line.
Yeah.
Other than that,
good answer.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I would change much. Like I said, I love where we are today. I love where we ended up, and so I really wouldn't change too much, to be frank.
Well, congrats on the success. And I guess before we leave, any final thoughts or advice for someone thinking about going down this path?
Yeah, I would say, if and when you want to go down this path, for me personally, what did it was, finding someone like yourself who's experienced and knowledgeable. There's no way I could have managed this project from 2 hours away, even if I knew everything, which I don't. So it definitely helps to have local boots on the ground. And I know that there's tons of people out there that are going to attempt to do this themselves, and there's a lot of people that can do that, and that's great. I just know from my perspective, I guess one of the things I've learned in life is sometimes you need to pay experts to do what experts do. So it's, I can change the oil on my truck, but I'm not going to pull the engine out, right? So it's all about just knowing your skill level and what you're comfortable doing, and then paying experts to do the rest, I guess.
That's great advice for sure. A lot of people do try to maybe take on a little more than they can handle, but there's so many different moving parts to this. I mean, it is essentially like you're building a house. You have all the same inspections, from the foundation to the framing to mechanical to plumbing. I mean, on and on it goes. So definitely hire experts if you're unsure about things. But Andy, really appreciate your time. Congrats on the success, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been fun. So my background, my name is Andy. growing up, I was quite an outdoorsman, I would say. So came up through the Boy Scout program, got the rank of Eagle. That was some special times I had with my dad and I. I've got 2 sisters, so kind of gave us some guy time. So that was a part of my college years as well. I was an outdoor guide, so I would take people rafting, rock climbing, all that kind of fun stuff. So fast forward when I was forced to join the real world out of college. Been in corporate America roughly a decade now, so I'm a marketing professional, and I've been wanting to do something entrepreneurial for quite a long time. I enjoy my job in corporate life, but there's plenty of things I don't enjoy, a couple of which are, every decision needs 10 different sign-offs and, all the paperwork and the red tape, blah, blah, blah. So I've always wanted to kind of strike it on my own so that I could just run a little bit faster, be more nimble, that kind of stuff. So building a glamping dome basically checked all those boxes for me as far as, getting to do something that had to do with nature, also, being an entrepreneurial venue and all that kind of stuff. So it's been fun.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's what most people think about when they think about a side hustle is, I think I'll build a fancy tent and rent it out on every. Why did you choose a dome specifically? And then I know you went with Pacific domes, but did you look at other manufacturers? Can you tell us just a little bit about your research ahead of time?
Yeah, those are all really good questions. And I get asked that fairly often because, glamping domes are kind of a weird, unique thing. So it's like, how did you get started? In all honesty, the glamping dome was what I would consider a fair compromise between my wife and I. So, Alex, you've been married long enough, marriage is all about compromise, right? Everybody's got to be happy. So
For sure.
like in my Eagle Scout roots, I'm perfectly content putting a week's worth of stuff in my pack and hiking out in the woods and disappearing for a while. My wife is not on that wavelength. She's much more, the nice hotel room, kind of luxury cabin kind of thing. So the glamping dome seemed like a decent middle ground, to be honest. Because while this is an entrepreneurial venue, it also needed to be something that I can enjoy with my family. Because in my opinion, when you go into whatever entrepreneurial venue you want to go in, you need to be passionate about it. And the way to be passionate is, something that you take joy in. So, decided we're going to do glamping. But, glamping means lots of things to lots of people. It can be a yurt. It can be an Airstream trailer. It can be a glamping dome. So one of the things I liked about the glamping domes were the kind of rigidity, the structure. It's a very strong shape. I've been around a while. And the more research I did, it was, it's not a new concept, but at the same time, it almost is. Because when I put my entrepreneur hat on, I knew I needed something that wasn't super common. For instance, mountain cabins are a dime a dozen. And I've stayed in a couple growing up and they were fantastic, but I wanted something that was a little bit more unique so that I could, kind of fill that niche market and try and get more interest. So that's where the glamping dome came into the picture. So, wife's on board. This looks cool. What's the next step? Well, there's quite a few manufacturers around the world that do glamping domes. So I did my research and stumbled across Pacific Domes, and I really liked it for a lot of reasons. First off, it was the only reputable manufacturer that had been doing it for a while that was here in the United States. So for me, buying domestic is important whenever I can, just for a lot of reasons. So that was great that I could do that. Also, I like that all of their support staff is based here in the United States. So I kind of figured that when we're doing something unique, there's going to be lots of questions that pop up. There's going to be some problems that need solved. So it's much easier to get on the phone and talk to someone, at Pacific Domes, as opposed to maybe a company that's based in Europe or Australia or any of the other manufacturers that, to be quite honest, I'm sure they do fantastic quality product, but at the end of the day, it's the convenience is what Pacific Domes brought to the table that no one else really could.